So, what happens when you poll six NFL general managers, six assistant GMs, six former GMs, five other executives, eight current head coaches, and 19 other coaches, including 15 coordinators in today's league? You get Mike Sando's 50-person panel of NFL QB tiers. Tiers that have Jayden Daniels as not only the best quarterback in the NFC East after one season, but the sixth best quarterback in the NFL and the first off the list in tier 2. Let's discuss. What it do and what's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson, back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about our Washington Commanders. Today is Wednesday, August 13th, and I wanted to start the day by having a Jayden Daniels conversation about where his tier is and where he's ranked among his peers in the NFL. And as you look at this list, Mike Sando is not just anybody. We went over Jeremy Fowler's list earlier, his poll for ESPN, but Mike Sando has been covering the NFL for 28 seasons now. For The Athletic currently, he is one of the selectors for the Hall of Fame. He is one of the voters for the Associated Press Awards for NFL honor. He's one of the people who gets an MVP vote, a Rookie of the Year vote, etc. So when he does a list, this is an esteemed list. And this is something that should be listened to. As you heard the intro of this video, these are current coaches. These are GMs. These are former GMs. These are current offensive coaches. And when it comes to our guy, Jayden Daniels, he's already being ranked very, very high in the NFL so far, as he should, because what are we even talking about? Like, someone in the division, some unnamed source in the division already has high praise for the guy. And they're already talking about he might already be the best passer in the division. It's not that he might be. He is. He's the best quarterback in the division. When we have this conversation, you have to understand this is individual success. This is individual skill versus skill, player versus player. We are critiquing the lead singer of the band. We don't care who has a better drummer, who has a better guitarist. We don't care who's better on the snare. We're talking about the person with the microphone, the MC of the group, the main character. That's what we're talking about when we have these conversations. And first things first on the list, we know who the top four quarterbacks in the league are. You can debatably put them in whatever order you'd like to. We know it's going to always start with Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. Here is where it gets interesting to me. Matt Stafford, first ballot Hall of Famer when he finishes his career. He is 37 years old this season, and we have gotten multiple updates that sound like that guy is not going to be healthy on a football field this year. This guy is taking epidurals like he's pushing out a child in the year of 2025. And we're talking about, based on last season, Jayden Daniels was better than Matt Stafford. Jayden had more touchdowns than Matt Stafford. Jayden wears more hats than Matt Stafford. Jayden was a better football player in 2024 than Matt Stafford. They're not trying to give Jayden too much after one season, but if your eyes watch football in the Lord's year 2024, Jayden Daniels was the best quarterback in the NFC last year. Did his team win the Super Bowl? No, it did not. We're talking about quarterback for quarterback. And Matt Stafford is not currently better than Jayden Daniels. Point blank, period. Jayden went out there and took I heard the Colin Cowherd video. I heard the Colin Cowherd video in which he broke down the QB tiers, and he went into a spiel because, you know, Colin Cowherd is great with spin. He's great with presenting narratives, and I know he still capes for Caleb Williams, so this was a very pro Caleb Williams conversation. When he put this on the screen, he mentioned how Jayden Daniels was great, but Jayden Daniels got breaks in 2024. Jayden wasn't drafted to a disaster. I'm going to stop you right there, champ. We have been a disaster for 25 years, and we have not been able to accumulate a franchise quarterback in that same amount of time. They've actually found more promise at the position in Chicago than Washington in the last 25 years. So I'm going to stop you right there, champ. We are in a full year of transition, of ownership, of front office, of staff, and of an entire roster. Nobody had expectations for us in 2024. We had a win total of around like 5.5 going into the 2024 season. We're not going to sit here and act like everything was sweet coming into Washington last year. He has a very mature wide receiver one. Congratulations. That's about all that he had. It was him and Terry versus the world. Y'all laughed at the signings of Bobby Wagner, of Zach Ertz and company. You didn't expect Jayden to be tagging Zach Ertz the way he did in his rookie season. They always move the goalposts after success occurs. But the funniest part to me about Colin Cowherd's spiel was he started going into this conversation about Jayden only beating one playoff quarterback last year. And they go into the opposing quarterbacks Jayden played last year. And that's Baker, Daniel Jones, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Andy Dalton, Caleb Williams, Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson, Jalen Hurts, Cooper Rush, Will Levis, Jake Haener, Jalen Hurts, Michael Penix, Trey Lance. And he very conveniently leaves out and excludes the fact that he beat Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff in playoff games last year. We're going to sit here and act like Jayden's not the first ever rookie quarterback without a top defense to make it to the conference championship game in his first season. This is not Brock Purdy. This is not some systematic game manager with the entire league of all pros around him. This is a guy who catapulted a team that's been in 25 to 30 years of hell into immediate success. And they're trying to rain on the parade because they don't see a world where this slows down or regresses, but they're trying to force that it's going to happen. Let's just stay in the NFC East for a second. Let's just stay divisionally before we open up the scope to a wider quarterback conversation. Let's stay in the NFC East. Jayden has to slump in year 2. Jalen Hurts has gotten better every year since he's been in the NFL. Rain Dakota Prescott had a wonderful rookie season. He was still good in year 2. Russell Wilson, I know he's rinsed, washed, and tumbled dry at this point of his career. I remember what young Russell looked like in 2012. It was the same year we drafted Robert. It was the same year Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson, Ryan Tannehill, RG3, they all got to the shits immediately in the NFL. And did Russ sophomore slump? No. Russ is going to wear a gold jacket one day. And while he may not currently be on gold jacket status, a slump, a regression, and a decline of play did not come into the fold for Russell Wilson till 10 years in his career. And when it happened, they shipped his ass out of Denver, and Denver ate one of the largest dead caps in the history of the league to get him the fuck out of town. So we keep talking about sophomore slumps, and we're talking about a slump-proof player in Jayden Daniels who led his team in rushing because necessity. Because necessity. We don't have an 800-yard running back on this team. Jayden ran for almost 900 last year. Jayden broke his ribs and was a lesser version of himself for 3 weeks, came out the game in a couple second halves of games last year and still gave you 3,600, 35 touchdowns, 900 on the ground, 7 rushing touchdowns. Matt Stafford is not better than Jayden Daniels. Jayden should be leapfrogging Matt Stafford on this list in no time. As we currently enter the 30s of the NFL Top 100 countdown, you still haven't seen Jayden Daniels because you're not going to see him until they get in the teens, 20s episode. And if they're being really honest with themselves, there's an argument to make that Jayden Daniels is already a top 10 player in this league because he's the 5th best quarterback in the NFL. I'm not saying that because he's my quarterback, because after the top 4 quarterbacks in the league, it's Jayden Daniels. And if you want to include success, team success in the conversation, we can start talking about Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts, they keep ranking him 9th, 10th in the league because of the beautiful situation he has around him. You can't discount Jalen Hurts' leadership. While he doesn't do intangible quarterbacky things as well as some other guys, Jalen Hurts has to go over Jared Goff and Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is a general manager's wet dream at quarterback. When you concoct a conversation and you throw all the ingredients that you think you want in a quarterback, Justin Herbert is exactly what you want. Big, strong arm, 6'5", rocket, can put it in tight spaces, cool, calm demeanor quarterback. He just has not accomplished dick in his career. And I know we're talking team success versus individual success. And statistically speaking, Justin Herbert has had seasons Jalen Hurts could never dream of passing the football. Come on. Jayden Daniels threw for more touchdowns in his rookie season than Jalen Hurts has in a complete season in his entire NFL career so far. But Jalen Hurts is cut from a different cloth from a leadership standpoint. So I think number 5 and 6 in the league should be Jayden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, and then Matt Stafford at 7. Matt Stafford has a broken back. Spinal, as Mike Tyson would say. This guy might be in a fucking wheelchair by week 8 and play half the season this year. I've never heard of an NFL quarterback having to take an epidural to get on the football field. It's almost time to hang him up. With his obnoxious ass wife, I can see why he's trying to stay on the football field. Just kidding. Just kidding, by the way. We're not taking shots at NFL players' wives, but we have fun on this channel. Stick with me. Jayden Daniels is the 5th best quarterback in the league, and he's coming to join that top 4 party of Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, and Jackson. And if you don't want to take my word for it, how about take the word of the best left-handed football player to ever play the sport of football? Like, generally, with 4 straight passing titles, and when he retired, he was viewed as top 3 ever. Listen to what Steve Young has to say about Jayden Daniels, if you don't want to take my word for it.
Generally have this ability as things high. Look, that's the filter for quarterbacks. How many quarterbacks you see when it gets tight, they're, oh my gosh, and then their game gets smaller. They don't do as much. Their athleticism starts to disappear. Their mind starts to speed up, and they can't process the way they did. And some people are just built different, and he's built that different. You can see it. And in today's game, he is the ultimate prototype.
Ultimate.
He is threatening line of scrimmage every play.
The ultimate prototype. That is Steve Young. That is a gold jacket player. That is not some underground, underrated. No, that is Steve Young giving you this information. So you don't got to take it from me. I am nobody. I am Rio Robinson. I'm a YouTuber that speaks his mind about the Washington Commanders, and you could call it what you want. I'm not going to sit here and wave pom-poms and lie to you just because I'm a fan of the team. I like to draw the line in the middle. I like to be impartial. I like to be objective because I'm going to keep it a buck about my football team. Always, Jayden Daniels is the 5th best quarterback in the league, so I would flip-flop these rankings. I understand they don't want to give him that high of ranking in Madden after year 1. They don't want to put him too high on lists after 1 year in the league, but you notice the thing that he has in common with all the other great quarterbacks. They didn't start declining. They didn't start falling off a cliff after their first good season in the league. It was more of the same. But we're going to continue this conversation about where Jayden Daniels stands in the division and league-wide in just a second, but we got to pay some bills. Here is a word from today's sponsor. I've been looking to find the best deal on Washington Commanders tickets for the 2025 season, which is why I want to give the sponsor of today's video, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sporting events, festivals, and more. The NFL is right around the corner, and MLB is in full swing. I love using SeatGeek. Recently used it, lock in my training camp tickets. Most notably, I was at the Grand National Tour with my son, Kendrick Lamar, and SZA at Northwest Stadium. SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 through 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And you know I had to come through for y'all using promo code RIO for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code RIO. RIO. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you again, SeatGeek, for sponsoring this video. Promo code RIO in the description below for tickets from SeatGeek. But let's look at this list real quick. Let's look at where the rest of the NFC East falls on this list, and let's look at where the rest of the quarterback class of 2024 fall on this list, because we know what's good with the top 4 guys in the league. So after Stafford, we got Daniels at 6. We have to go to number 9 on the list, where it's a tie between Cole Bernard Stroud IV and Jalen Hurts, the guy who just won Super Bowl MVP last season. And then we have to go all the way down to number 12 before we find Dak Prescott. We got to jump across the street and walk down a few blocks before we find a New York Giants quarterback, which is Russell Wilson at number 26. And yes, I realized the last time we played Russell Wilson, he beat us in DC. That's cool. That's nice. That's fine and dandy. We'll get to that later in the discussion. Herbert at 7, Goff at 8, Stroud and Hurts at 9. Hurts needs to jump a couple of these guys on this list. Hurts needs to jump a couple, but it's funny that CJ Stroud is still viewed as a top 10 quarterback after y'all told me that CJ Stroud had such a historic and momentous fall from grace in 2024. Wow, what a sophomore slump for CJ Stroud, a season in which all his receivers were hurt. They worked in a phenomenal running back, which took some pressure off it. We're talking about a season where CJ Stroud threw the same amount of touchdowns as the guy who they put over Jayden Daniels in the top 5, Matt Stafford. CJ Stroud had pretty much the same season as Matt Stafford, but optics and social media banter will tell you he had a sophomore slump. So in Stroud's 2 seasons in the NFL, 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 picks. 3,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 picks. So you're telling me that a guy throwing over 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, double-digit wins in both seasons, playoff wins in both seasons, and went toe-to-toe, mano-a-mano with Pat the GOAT up at Arrowhead, and other than a couple weird penalties, had a shot to win that game very late. You're telling me that's what a sophomore slump looks like? So you're telling me a slump for Jayden is a couple less touchdowns, another playoff victory, and a divisional round defeat. We move the goalposts all the time and every year, man. CJ Stroud did not have a sophomore slump last year. CJ Stroud was out that shit throwing to Rio Robinson some weeks of the season. Nico Collins missed a bunch. Stephon Diggs was out for the season. Tank Dell suffered another catastrophic injury. It was bad news for the Texans. And he had to lean on his run game with Joe Mixon, new acquisition. He had to lean on his run game. He had to lean on that defense where every player on the roster caught 5 interceptions last year. So that's not a sophomore slump. He had the same season as Matt Stafford. The same season as Matt Stafford. But Matt Stafford is seen in this such higher regard. Yes, he's won a Super Bowl before. We're talking about 37-year-old Matt Stafford. Stay with me. But we go down to Dak Prescott at number 12. Rain Dakota Prescott, very good quarterback. I've seen him lead 3 straight 12-win seasons and accomplish absolutely dick in those 3 seasons. Jayden Daniels, after 1 year of football, has matched the total of playoff victories Rain Dakota Prescott has accrued in a 9-year career? Jayden Daniels' cleats have already touched the soil of conference championship weekend. Rain Dakota Prescott's have not. He has the numbers. He's a good quarterback in the regular season, can't get it done in the postseason. He falls in the category of guys like Justin Herbert when it comes to getting it done. And I know that falls back into the team success versus individual success. Well, I'm sorry, your quarterback is not seen by executives, coaches, former executive scouts, and the likes to be a top 10 quarterback. Jayden Daniels is already the prohibitive best quarterback in the NFC East. And in this poll that Mike Sando from The Athletic conducted, Jayden received 13 more tier 1 votes than his peers in the NFC East. And we don't even have to bring Russell Wilson into this because this is the 2025 iteration of Russell Wilson. But that's the division. Clearly the best in the division. Let's talk about his draft class, though. Let's see where the other draft class members of 2024 are. Where do we got to go to find the next one on the list? There we go. Bo Nix. Bo Nix at 20 is dicey to me. I would have Bo Nix in front of Geno Smith, Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, and around the area where Tua and Brock Purdy are. I would put Nix up there. I know he's being coached by a QB whisperer and Sean Payton, but Bo Nix was phenomenal as a rookie. He played great football. He played great in winning time, crunch time moments, and he looked to have traits of a guy who could make plays and not necessarily just be a game manager. Bo Nix, I would put higher on the list than 20. I don't agree with that. Drake May at 22. There goes Drake May. Here goes the rest of the class. Drake May and Caleb Williams at 22 and 23. So the narrative going into these guys' rookie seasons, right? The narrative going into these guys' rookie seasons was Caleb Williams has the best outfit, operation, and system that we've ever seen the number 1 pick go into. And now, present day, we've moved the goalpost to say, oh, but he was drafted by the McCaskey's ownership group and a lame duck head coach. We all knew that Matt Eberflus was a lame duck head coach. We all knew they should have changed probably GMs and quarterbacks going into the Caleb Williams situation in the 2024 NFL draft. But now we move goalposts because it looked nasty in year 1. I'm sorry everybody cannot be Jayden Daniels in year 1. But I think it's so funny how there's nowhere to go but up for the other quarterbacks in the class, but there's nowhere to go but down because Jayden Daniels was so fucking electrifying in his rookie year. They already said, Dan Orlovsky did a poll. No, Dan Orlovsky was he was grading quarterbacks on a couple different scales as far as mechanics and operation and processing and stuff like that. And he already has Jayden top 2 on the list. Every metric you can find Jayden near the top of the list. Warren Sharp, one of the most analytical people, one of the biggest names in analytics in all of sport. How do you play in the last 2 minutes of each half? The last 4 minutes of each half, they have the top 10 quarterbacks ranked. Michael Penix is number 1. Jayden Daniels is number 2. Michael Penix has a sample size. He only started in 4 games last year. Jayden started in a whole bunch of them, and he's at number 2. Completed 70% of his passes. Throwing the guy's name, Alameda Zacchaeus. 300-yard De'Ami Brown. Noah Brown having to be a starter and someone that we depend upon despite exiting early to stage left with an injury every season of his career so far. Luke McCaffrey, no 800-yard rusher on the roster. Austin Eckler being banged up for 4th of the season. You get where I'm going? And an offensive line where most people viewed bottom 5 in the league going into the year and absolutely crucify the hiring of Giants offensive line coach Bobby Johnson. So when people like to pretend that Jayden walked into this already beautiful situation, I would like you to understand the context in which it's taking place. Jayden Daniels is just that good. He's over prepared. His grind is unimitable. He beats everyone but Cliff Kingsbury to the office every morning. He looks good in practice. He looks good in games. He processes fast. He's fast as shit, but not dependent on it. He runs because of necessity, and he can win and beat you in whatever way he decides on Sunday. And like Allen, Mahomes, Jackson, and Burrow, that type of talent and that level of quarterback does not fall off. It keeps getting better. It keeps ascending. Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson are 6 years into a career, just had their best season in the NFL just last year. And neither of them were awarded with the MVP trophy because you know the politics in that. But when you're cut from that type of cloth, when you're an elite quarterback, there's no such thing as a sophomore slump. There's no such thing as you falling off a cliff in the prime of your career. And speaking of a cliff, they told us about the Cliff, the Cliff Kingsbury cliff, where the offense falls off the tracks at a certain part of the year. Washington fell 3 games in a row after starting 7-2 to 7-5 and proceeded to not lose another game until conference championship weekend on the final weekend of January. My quarterback went out there on the road, game-winning drive in his wild card NFL playoff debut versus a 5,000-yard passer in Baker Mayfield. Went up and took out the number 1 seed and put 45 points on their head top. And in the NFC Championship, a game where we got double nickeled 55-23, he was driving with a chance to cut it to single digits going into the fourth quarter. He cannot help it that Austin Eckler, De'Ami Brown, and Jeremy McNichols were going to fumble Ruski the football all over Lincoln Financial Field in the NFC Championship. His turnover did not take place until the game was already over and they already put the stake in our hearts. Jayden was ready when the team wasn't. Jayden uplifted a team that had no business being in the NFC Championship to a place it hadn't been in 3 decades plus, and the best season of my 33, almost 34-year-old fan life. There are reasons why he's highly regarded. He's going to be top 15 on the top 100 list. He's top 5 or 6 on every quarterback ranking, and he's the best quarterback in the NFC East already. Enjoy your ring in Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts is a very fine quarterback and probably the best leader in sports. But he ain't Jayden Daniels. He ain't as quarterbacky. He don't process, throw, layer the football like my quarterback. And Dak Prescott ain't that either. And you could call Jackson Dart JD6 all you want to. He looked sharp in his debut. Him, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, you could throw them all in a motherfucking pot and make meat stew. They can't compare to my quarterback as well. Matt Stafford is being willed off into retirement in age 37. There ain't a quarterback in the NFC, the entire conference, that can hold a candle to Jayden Daniels going into year 2. And if you think a slump is taking place, I'm going to pray for you because this needle is pointing up, and you haven't even seen close to the best of Jayden Daniels yet. But that's all I got for right now. Jayden Daniels MVP season loading. Talk soon.